Imagine waking before dawn on an Apulian August morning, so heavy with dust you can taste iron on the back of your tongue. The red sun lifts like a hostile eye over the flat plain of Cannae, turning every dewdrop on wheat stubble into a mirrored spark that dazzles the ranks of 80,000 Roman citizens standing shoulder to shoulder. Armor creaks, breath fogs, a low murmur, half vow, half prayer, rolls along 11 deep miles of scarlet-crested helmets. Somewhere in the distance, a flute strikes a minor key cadence meant to settle nerves, but it only sharpens them. Across the river Aufidus, a thinner, darker line of spears waits. 40,000 Africans, Spaniards, Gauls, Numidians, and Carthaginian settlers drawn together by one will. Hannibal Barca, a commander who crossed the Alps with elephants and a revenge oath older than any legionnaire here. At his back, banners stitched with the open palm of Tanit snap like trapped birds. Between the two armies, a dry breeze kicks swirls of chaff high enough to scaffold the sky. In that haze hangs a single unthinkable question. Could this be the day Rome's juggernaut finally breaks? Few believe it possible. Rome has always swallowed disaster and answered with conquest. But even fewer can ignore the scent in the air, a copper-sweet aroma only massive slaughter can release. Hold that tension, because the decisions that unfold in the next hours will rewrite every manual on battlecraft and brand the word Cannae into military vocabulary for the next 2 millennia. Two years earlier, the Roman Republic had considered the Second Punic War a distant thunderclap on Iberian horizons. Yes, Hannibal's siege of Saguntum violated treaties, but victories at the river Ticinus and Trebia seemed like unlucky stumbles, not existential threats. Then came Lake Trasimene, a fog-shrouded ambush that swallowed 20,000 Romans, leaving their commander Flaminius trampled to death before he could even draw sword. Panic rattled the Forum marbles. The Senate recalled the old dictatorship mechanism and summoned Fabius Maximus, who answered catastrophe with caution, shadowing Hannibal from ridge to ridge, torching crops so the invaders starved. His strategy bought time, but outraged Roman pride. The people jeered, "Cunctator, delayer," tired of seeing smoke columns rise from their farms. With elections looming, two newly minted consuls, Gaius Terentius Varro and Lucius Aemilius Paulus, promised a thunderous reversal. They called up every man with a pulse, citizen, allied, even freedman, filling 18 legions and allied wings until Rome's manpower ledger squealed. It was the largest field army the Republic had ever hurled at a single target. Politicians cheered. Soothsayers read favorable livers. Even war-weary peasants dared whisper that Hannibal's nightmare march was finally cornered. But Hannibal was sculpting the battlefield like a stage designer, choosing vantage and lighting. He camped near Cannae, where prevailing southeast winds whipped dust straight into Roman faces, and where the narrow corridor between the river and low hills canceled the Romans' depth advantage. His coalition army, though outnumbered 2-1, brimmed with asymmetric pieces, Iberian infantry whose falcata swords could hack through shield rims, Libyan heavy spearmen drilled to pivot on command, Gaulish foot as wild as myth, Numidian horsemen who rode without bridles, hurling javelins, then evaporating like mirages. He placed his tent on a slight bluff, visible to friend and foe, exuding calm that bled into his lieutenants Mago and Maharbal. While Roman scouts reported column strengths, Hannibal studied wind patterns, plotted cavalry feints, and rehearsed a maneuver so audacious no Greek tactician had ever inked its likeness. He would let Rome push through his center, then close around its flanks like a bear trap. Dawn of August 216 BC arrived with eerie ceremony. On the Roman side, command rotated by day. Paulus held senior authority that morning. Stoic and patrician, he favored caution but could not cancel the aggressive formations Varro arranged the night before. Rome massed infantry in a dense block, triple the usual depth, to punch through the Carthaginian line by sheer kinetic weight. Cavalry, their Achilles' heel, anchored the wings, 3,400 Italian horse on the right under Paulus, 4,000 allied horse on the left under Varro. It was a formation built for decisive breakout, if the wings held. Across the flat burnished wheat, Hannibal arranged his infantry in a subtle convex bow. Gauls and Spaniards bulged forward at the middle, Libyan veterans recessed on either rear quarter. His cavalry, outnumbering Roman horse 2-1, mirrored Rome's but with key twist. Heavy Iberian Celtic lancers under Hasdrubal on his left, facing Paulus. Skirmishing Numidians under Maharbal on his right, facing Varro. Final prayers rose, trumpets blasted, 120,000 heartbeats synced to war drum cadence. The first thunderclap was cavalry. Hasdrubal's armored squadrons roared across the stubble, lances level. Paulus's Italians answered but were riddled by previous illness, their mounts underfed. Shock sheared them back in minutes. Survivors fled into the infantry rear, sowing chaos. Simultaneously, Maharbal's Numidians teased Varro's allied horse, darting close, pelting javelins, then kiting away. An irritating dance that drew Roman allies farther from the infantry corps with each pursuit. Dust clouds ballooned, cloaking maneuvers from Roman centurions already focused forward. With Roman wings destabilized, Hannibal's center advanced. Gauls and Spaniards shouted mixed battle songs, shields banging. Roman heavy infantry met them with a tidal shove, pila stabbing, gladii chopping. The convex bow began deforming inward, just as Hannibal wanted. His middle retreated, not in flight, but in elastic give way, pulling the Roman mass deeper. Centurions bellowed victory cries, standards surged forward, boots slid on blood-slicked chaff, more maniples piled in, compressed by ranks behind. The Roman formation became a gargantuan wedge, unstoppable but blind, its flanks now fully exposed. That was the pivot. With center indentation perfect, Hannibal unleashed the Libyans. These Africans had waited motionless, shields angled to appear smaller in dust, now pivoting on a command word. They swung around, hinges of a door, driving spear points into the Roman flanks already gasping for space. What had been orderly became claustrophobic horror. Men couldn't raise swords without elbowing comrades. Pila jammed between shields. Screams rose as blades found ribs under arm gaps. The Libyan push pinched the wedge into a coffin shape, halting forward momentum. Behind the Romans, Hasdrubal had finished routing Paulus's cavalry, wheeled unopposed across the rear, and smashed into Varro's allied horse still chasing Numidians. Riders scattered. Some galloped for the Aufidus Rapids. Others crashed headlong into their own infantry, only to be speared by desperate comrades. Maharbal's Numidians closed the back door, hemming the legions inside a living wall of horses, shields, and spears. A giant human knot tightened. What followed was slaughter on a scale no Mediterranean battlefield had seen. Unable to swing swords, Romans stabbed upward in panic. Carthaginian spears stabbed downward, corpses stacked until survivors fought atop fleshy mounds that shifted like unstable hills. Blood slicked sandals. Men drowned in the red mud created by their fellows' entrails. Roman officers tried to form hedgehog squares, but each attempt dissolved under javelin hail. Paulus, bleeding from multiple wounds, refused to flee and died exhorting a final cohort. Varro escaped only because the Numidians chased richer Roman nobles. By late afternoon, sun still blazing, the killing turned to butchery. Hannibal ordered gaps for surrendering pockets. But few Romans surrendered. Most fought until trampled or suffocated. The Aufidus ran scarlet. Vultures gathered before sunset. The stench would carry for miles by next dawn. Estimated Roman deaths, 50,000, 70 pounds in a single day. Over 10% of the adult male citizen body. Consular authority, 80 senators, and 200 equestrian officers lay dead. Rome, who had lost battles before but never armies, now confronted statistical annihilation. But Rome's soul inhaled catastrophe and exhaled resolve. News reached the city like a thunderbolt. Mothers shaved heads, senators convened emergency night sessions, but there was no riot, no surrender. Fabius Maximus counseled fortify walls, forbid mention of ransom, and raise yet more legions. Slaves were promised freedom for enlistment. Boys under 17 drilled with wooden swords, property auctions financed new arms. Hannibal expected defections, Italian allies to flock to his banner, but only a handful of southern cities defected. The Latin heartland stamped decrees in iron, not wax. Hannibal, lacking siege engines, would roam Italy 15 more years, winning fields but never the capital. Still, the strategic thunderclap of Cannae echoed for 20 centuries. It became textbook proof of double envelopment perfection, studied by Frederick the Great, Schlieffen, Patton. Modern generals quoted it while drawing arrows on digital terrain. Today, the plains near modern Cannae della Battaglia sway with olive trees. Wheat still nods in Mediterranean breeze, oblivious to the bones churned below. Yet if you close your eyes, you can almost hear Numidian war cries riding the wind and feel the oppressive crush of men who discovered that bravery without space is a death sentence. Rome eventually won the war, but the memory of its darkest day tempered every future boast, reminding even conquerors that genius paired with audacity can topple massive numbers. If this glimpse into Rome's harrowing trial stirred your imagination, march with our channel into more forgotten fields, where decisions in sweat and terror shaped the world we inherit. Smash that subscribe gladius, ring the Legion bell so you never miss another battle-forged saga, and rally fellow history seekers by sharing this video. In the comments, tell us which clash, Zama, Marathon, or something lost to time, you want resurrected next. Your curiosity is the standard we follow. Your click, the oath we answer. Tighten your sandal straps. The next campaign assembles just beyond the horizon.